Everybody loves money. Matter of fact, I don't know anybody who doesn't want more of it.
And I'll tell you what, my teenage boy wants more because he's now entered the world of buying his own gas. But you know what's interesting?
What?
Teenage girls don't talk about money, they talk about what they're gonna buy next.
Wow, you're into this.
Yes, I am.
I'm telling you. Well, it's all about kids and cash. And it's interesting because money's neither good nor bad, but how are you gonna instruct, coach your kids on this whole financial mess, possessions, wealth, and all that stuff?
We could start like our parents did. Christie Lee, money does not grow on trees.
Yes, money doesn't buy happiness, right? That's
Yeah.
all we get, right? But it's interesting because over and over again, you and I run into families along the way who don't know what to tell their kids.
No, no, they're lost. And so we get a chance to give you guys some new ideas.
How do you teach your kids? How do you get it into their head? Most of us don't even say anything and hope they're gonna get it.
Oh, yeah, and that's not going to work. In fact, I was in the truck with the kids, and I knew we were going to be talking about money. So I said, you know what? We're going to need to, after dinner tonight, talk about finances. And my 11-year-old goes, finances? What does that have to do with us? So obviously, I haven't talked to him. And then my girlfriend says, you said finances to an 11-year-old? What are you, crazy?
Yeah, well, we gotta learn, But what does mold our kids?
Well, I'll tell you what is interesting, because when I grew up, and I think a lot of you, we compared ourselves to our neighbors. We wanted what everybody else in school had. Like, I couldn't wait to get the new banana skateboard that came out for Christmas time. But now, the kids are comparing themselves to Paris and Lindsay and LeBron and Beckham, and they want the same stuff.
And there's a lot of pressure. And society molds it. It could be magazine articles, it could be TV ads. It all drives kids to what they think they really need.
Oh, and you know what? We're spoiled. We've got more than what our parents did, and our kids have more than what we have.
Let's talk about spoiled. Let's talk about maybe not what we're trying to teach our kids, but what we're modeling to our kids.
Okay, you saying that like I'm not a good model.
No, what did you buy your husband for his 40th birthday?
I bought him a car.
Oh, a car. Any specific car?
Yes, I bought him a Dodge Viper.
A what?
A Dodge Viper. It's
Dodge
a dream
Viper.
he always had.
So you're telling your kids, spend.
No, I'm telling my kids that it's okay to splurge on the people you love in your life.
Splurge lots. There's no end to this money
thing. But no, there's a difference, because the splurging didn't put us into debt. It didn't make us cross the line into bankruptcy.
I don't know. I'd be struggling, buying a Viper, those kind of things. A little bit of bling.
Okay, well, we can talk about this later.
All right, we will.
You can
Marriage
counsel me.
Uncensored, Kids and Cash. Stay with us.
Money and food. We need both to live. But you know what? We're in a nation that has an abundance of both. And I think, especially as parents, I don't know about you guys, but it's hard finding the balance.
Right, it is.
When it comes to food, it's not like we let our kids sit down and have a dozen Krispy Kremes, right?
Sometimes.
No, we do not.
Well, it's a party,
No, so I think we need to find a balance when it comes to the money and our kids as well.
Okay, Kids and Cash. We got a great author here, 12 books. He's a columnist with the Globe and Mail. The guy is a father of 3, tax expert. He can help us in every way, especially when we're trying to get our kids figured out here when it comes to money. Tim Cestnick.
Thanks. Wow. It's good to be back.
So good to have you.
And you know
glad
what?
to be here.
This whole thing about the designer generation. I mean, like kids gotta wear the labels, and all that stuff, like name brands. How do we coach our kids through just having to wear the stuff?
Well, it's really difficult because we're talking about peer pressure here, right? And the problem is that not everyone can afford to buy the same things, obviously. So when you're trying to keep up with the Joneses, we've heard that expression before.
Yeah.
We've talked about that. Not everyone has the same income as the Joneses, so parents can find themselves in difficulty.
But how do you guys feel as daddy when your precious little daughter looks at you with batting eyelashes and says, "I have to have a Kate Spade to wear with my 7s, please, oh please."
Yeah, wow.
Okay, you two don't even know what I'm talking about.
I know. I got 7s. I know what you're talking about.
Okay, well, let me tell you, it just sets you back about $700.
Yeah.
Okay, and all she wants is a purse with a pair of jeans.
Well, and you know what? I think one way that parents can deal with this is by saying to their kids, I mean, if the kids are old enough to want these kinds of things, they may be old enough to actually earn or pay for part of it too. So it might not be a bad idea.
Right.
What we encourage a lot of people to do is to have the kids share in the cost.
Yes.
So if it's coming out of their own pocket and they've got to earn some of that money, and they realize, hey,
You've
this
got
is
a
not
friend
free.
who does that too.
Yeah, exactly. I do. And what he says, look, this is what we can afford on jeans. And if you want to have these Cadillacs, the fancy brand name, you can pay to get that name brand if you want. You know what I mean? Like it's all about the difference. You pay the difference. You go, whoa, that's a lot of money difference.
And it's all about trade-offs, because kids need to understand that there are trade-offs in life. If you buy this, you're not going to be able to buy that. So having them sacrifice something that they've earned themselves to pay for those things is a really good approach to take.
Now, culture, pushes pressures on kids. Like, you've got to buy this, you've got to buy that. I mean, the TV, the media, and all that. Now, how do we help kids get away from this pressure of the culture?
Well, I think you touched on it earlier in the show at the outset. You said we need to model for our kids what we really expect from them. And the problem is that too many parents today are not modeling for their kids any kind of restraint when it comes to spending. You know, if we're teaching our kids by the way we act and by what we buy that labels are important, they're going to learn the same things.
Right. You know, it's hard though, because like, you know, we are spoiled and we have so much more than our parents do. And like, I want my kids to pick up how much my husband loves me and the way he treats me, but I know they're also picking up all the ways he buys gifts for me that, you know, their spouses aren't going to be able to afford.
Yeah, but love can't be about how much I spend per person. So I mean, in your relationships, don't be going there. But yeah, you gotta lavish it, and there's some extra things you'll do when you're in a position to. When I was first married, I couldn't do that kind of lavish stuff,
and we couldn't either.
I mean, you could barely buy gum.
And things are a little bit different today because kids often, by the time they get married today, sometimes they're already into their careers, and you know, kids are getting married a little bit later now.
Yes.
And I got married when I was 30, and I already had a career going. So you know, I wasn't as hard I wasn't dealing with as many struggles financially as my parents were when they first got married. So kids can afford more now, and many kids are graduating with, you know, decent jobs. So, but we need to model for them, I think, at an early age what's important, and it doesn't mean that we can't have designer things from time to time, but to live that way all the time in everything we buy is very expensive, and it's a recipe for disaster.
Is it more of a product of living within your means, rather than whether or not you have the designer stuff?
Well, it is, but you know, we have clients in our business, for example, that are very, very wealthy families, and they can afford anything they want to get. But some of them have made conscious decisions that even though we can buy these things, we're not going to, because we don't want to teach our kids that that's what's most important about life.
Just because you have the money, right?
Right, and I just heard a dad say the other day and thought it was interesting. He said, I have always believed that giving my kids money for anything is actually the worst thing I can do for my kids.
Well, absolutely. I think allowance, you know, and this comes back to allowances. My kids are now at the age where we're starting to pay them allowance, but they have to earn it. There's certain things they have to do. So they're understanding the concept of work to get the money. And then we're also teaching them that a portion of what they earn can be saved or should be saved. A portion should be given away, and a portion should be spent.
Okay, and that's great. But Tim, a lot of people disagree with allowance because isn't just doing chores and things around the house, isn't that part of just the family economy?
There's more than one opinion about that. There's more than one philosophy. That's right. Now in our home, we've chosen to teach our kids that money comes with doing work.
There's a reward with it.
Yeah, there's a reward. So, but there is a view out there that maybe you shouldn't be paying your kids to do the chores. It's something they have a responsibility.
Let's talk about that. Spoiling. Can I spoil my kids? Should I spoil my kids? How do I spoil my kids? Talk.
Well, I think we spoil our kids when we endeavor to give them everything that they want. I think that's, you know, they need to understand, I think, that there are certain things in life that you just can't have. You may not be able to have.
Or you need to wait
Yes.
to have so that they can put some money towards it again, because I think there is something that is so important about them having to literally just anticipate.
Learning to hold off.
That's a good point
instead
because
of instant.
yeah, we live in a society of instant gratification. We want things now. We're like that. And so to teach our kids that they need to wait is a difficult thing, but if we can model that.
I've waited 4.5 minutes for my Big Mac.
Just wait a minute now. We're going here. Look, I want you to talk, maybe even talk to your kids about this. Labels. How much pressure do you have in your family about having to wear the designer stuff and all that? And if you got questions about parenting and kids and cash, email us, marriageuncensored.com. Go to the site. We want to hear your questions. Stay with us.